Hello everyone and welcome to the 7th episode of Townsquare Media Jersey Shore's Ask the Chief. I'm here in Point Pleasant Beach with Police Chief Joseph Michigan, following Long Branch Police Chief Jason Roebuck, who was on our last episode. All the episodes are up on the 92.7 WOBM YouTube channel if you ever want to catch up. We're going to talk current events today, the state of police, and a little bit of a fun fact, a connection that Chief Michigan has to Marlborough Police Chief Peter Pizzullo. So to start with some current events, which are not necessarily so great overall, but with a couple incidents this summer in a town that's, I think, been primarily known for being a family-friendly atmosphere. There's been a couple incidents in particular, one June 9th and then one a couple weeks ago of just unruly behavior on the beaches and boardwalks. Last month, I think it was just a mass gathering, people urinating in bushes, smoking weed, drinking a lot of alcohol, just causing a mass scene, and 6 people were arrested there, all from either north or another part of central Jersey, like Middlesex County. So, and then a couple weeks ago there was, and we'll dive more into the specifics of that, but with what happened in June, with that large gathering on the boardwalk that I know that you and Mayor Kenitra were taken aback by. So what exactly happened there, and did that kind of catch you by surprise with how many people were gathering and what they were doing?
Yeah, so first, thanks for inviting me and to come on your show. I appreciate it, and giving me an opportunity to brag about the police department and talk about some of the current events that we're dealing with today. So, start right off with the one that I'm not overly proud to talk about, but certainly it's an issue that we had to deal with here at Point Pleasant Beach. Beginning in June, probably like the week after Memorial Day weekend, we're not having a typical summer this year. The beaches and the boardwalk weren't even open for Memorial Day weekend. We were one of the last boardwalks to even actually open up to the public due to the pandemic and concerns about properly protecting and social distancing and whatnot. So I think we had to deal with an onslaught of people once the boardwalk was open, people being cooped up in their homes from all over, North Jersey, South, West, Pennsylvania, you name it. We're seeing a lot of people coming and visiting here from those areas. That incident was on a Tuesday afternoon or evening. Typically a Tuesday is a day of it's somewhat quiet here in Point Pleasant Beach. We'll call it the perfect storm. I didn't have, like all the other chiefs that you've spoken to this year, I use a lot of Class 2, Class 1 police officers, seasonal police officers, and they were stuck. They weren't even graduated yet because of the pandemic. Typically, they're done first, second week of May. We have them for Memorial Day weekend. We're trained and ready to go, and by the first week, second week of June, they're fully into police operations. We didn't have that. We were using all of our leftover officers from the year before, limited amount of guys on the street. Typical, it was a beautiful day. The boardwalk, my sergeant came in probably like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was like there's unruly people showing up there, and it was alerted to us like, they're on the beach. There's a lot of drinking going on. You could smell the marijuana, but it just, they showed up in like masses, and like before we knew it, we had a couple hundred people at the foot of the beach. Now, Jenkinson's, who owns majority of our beach, they were caught off guard as well. They have security personnel out as well. They had badge checkers, but you got to remember, again, it was right in the beginning, and it was a Tuesday, and they didn't have their full complement of security staff on, and quite frankly, we were caught off guard. There's no doubt about it. We were not expecting an onslaught of people like that. In today's days in social media, we usually monitor social media. Nobody caught the posts and whatnot, inviting people to come down here. And we got caught. There's no doubt about it. So by the time I got up we have a substation up on the boardwalk. Mm-hmm. I got up there. I took a view of the crowd and their behavior And I made the decision to start calling for additional support from my mutual aid companies, Burek, Toms River, the Sheriff's Department, Prosecutor's Office, State Police. And within an hour we had a couple hundred officers here in Point Pleasant Beach, just to ensure that they would not act out in a destructive way. They were acting out in a party atmosphere, but certainly openly drinking, openly smoking marijuana, couple taunting at police, but nothing that raised to the level that we were going to engage. So we waited them out essentially, and they left. We issued some summonses, but certainly if we were going to send officers in, we were going to have a riot. There's no doubt about it. We would have had a problem. So we waited them out. They left. Left the beach a mess. Urinated on lawns, people's front. It was definitely a shame, and not what Point Pleasant Beach is. We are a family-oriented town, and myself, Mayor Kenitra, definitely, I can speak for myself. I made a decision that night that this would never happen again. We were never going to be caught like this ever. That's kind of how the perfect storm of like the pandemic,
right?
Then George Floyd, then police brutality talk, and then now we're having beach parties showing up where people just have zero respect for others. They're just going to show up. They're going to do what they want to do, and it's unacceptable. So.
Did you see any similarities between what happened last month and then what happened a couple weeks ago? To a lesser scale, not as many people, but to the point about all the different demonstrations and protests following George Floyd, has it made it more difficult? And did the crowds on the boardwalk a couple weeks ago that were accusing your officers of excessive force or police brutality, how did you manage that? How did you make sure that the officers were using their training to manage the situation and make the proper arrest for what was going on, and for a man that was resisting arrest at the time?
Yeah, so clearly a couple weeks ago, the video of all the officers went viral here. Big difference between the first incident and this incident. We had tons of police officers working. Like I said, never going to allow anybody take over our beach or boardwalk and use it as their own little private party. So we had plenty of officers working at this time. I've directed my officers, listen, there's a zero tolerance policy here in Point Pleasant Beach. And the zero tolerance policy simply means, and it's common sense, you don't walk down the middle of the boardwalk drinking alcohol. If you get stopped somebody for urinating in public, they're going to get a summons. You stop somebody for drinking in public, they're going to get a ticket. Marijuana is still illegal in the state of New Jersey. You will be arrested. There's no wiggle room. In Point Pleasant Beach, and I would have to venture to say most municipalities in the state of New Jersey, if you are openly smoking marijuana, then rest assured, at least in Point Pleasant Beach, you're going to be arrested. The incident that happened a couple weeks ago, where it went viral, my officers, clearly the person who was taking the video that posted that had their own agenda. They had their own narrative. They wanted to paint a picture of excessive force, police brutality. The person was just drinking a beer and doing something very minor, and we shouldn't have bothered them. Well, he was walking down the middle of the boardwalk drinking out of a jug of Hennessy, which is a liquor. He gave officers a false name. So when we were trying to identify them, trying to just issue a summons, and if he cooperated and gave us his right name, he would have been given a summons, handed over the summons, and went on his way with his friends and family. Mm-hmm. The whole interaction probably would have lasted about 5 minutes. He made the decision to prolong that interaction with the officers. He made the decision to provide a false name. At one point, he didn't want to wait anymore, and he decided that he was just going to walk away from the officers and say, I'm leaving, I'm done, I'm not talking with you. Well, that's not how this works. You are being issued a summons. We need to properly identify you. And you don't walk away from officers when they are legally detaining you. And he was legally and lawfully being detained. When he was told to stop, he didn't comply, and that's when the video starts of the officers grabbing this, according to the woman taking the video, this innocent person who was just trying to walk on the boardwalk and enjoy himself. He was thrown to the ground. My officers used extreme restraint. They were quite professional. And I watched the video. I heard the story. That was not excessive force. That was textbook, perfect, almost perfect. Police putting the person down to the ground, handcuffed him. He was immediately brought up. No officers were injured. He wasn't injured. And he was immediately escorted off the boardwalk. But what we saw was, what you didn't see was a crowd of people surrounding the officers. You heard the obscenities,
right? Yep.
But and that is kind of like what we were dealing with almost on a regular basis, where people are trying to bait the police to yelling obscenities, leave him alone. He's really not doing anything wrong. Well, my officers aren't walking up the boardwalk looking just to pick on people. If you're walking, drinking any type of alcoholic beverage in public, you're going to get stopped. If you're going to act up, you're going to be arrested. If you're smoking marijuana, you're going to be arrested. That's common sense. And it's a shame that I actually had to go out and defend that. But that video, there is nothing inappropriate about that. The officers, in my opinion, and I stand behind them 100%, they acted professionally, appropriately for that instance. And the video obviously paints, the person making that video wanted to paint a different picture. And quite frankly, after I put my response out, you didn't hear too much more from anybody trying to make their own narrative, because they really couldn't. And I received overwhelmingly support from the residents here at Point Pleasant Beach. I got tons of phone calls. Thank you for finally standing up. Thank you for in doing the zero tolerance. Point Pleasant Beach is a great town. It is a family-oriented town. I'm born and raised in this town. I have an invested interest to keep it that family-oriented town. I have young children, and we're going to have a comeback. This town will remain a family-oriented town as long as I'm chief of police, and I'm sure the guys who are ever follow me will continue that mission of keeping this beautiful shore community, which it is.
In lieu, I guess, of those recent incidents, do you feel that your officers, any other officers that police do, because it's a debate as well nationally, that police officers do go through enough training, or is additional training needed to prevent situations from escalating, or prevent anything from getting violent or vulgar in any way?
Yeah, listen, I'm all for training, and we go through a lot of it in police work. Use of force, high-speed pursuits, domestic violence. We're mandated to go through those trainings. Firearms training. Those are just mandated trainings every year. Sometimes we have to do it twice a year. So I know that there's some legislation of trying to put more hours in defensive tactics into the police academy. I think that's a great idea. Certainly, officers need to be more physically fit and prepared to handle the grueling physical things that we have to deal with. I've gotten criticized that it took 7 officers to put the guy down to the ground. All right, well, listen, we don't want to have a fight on the boardwalk. We want to overwhelmingly take that person down safely, and use of force instances and people resisting arrest. It's not a pretty sight. It never looks pretty. A person is making that decision to resist arrest, and we are trained already constantly on how to defensive tactics and proper handcuffing techniques, bringing people up, getting them out of the scene, actually being able to verbally talk to people, which, before you even get to a point of a resisting arrest point, I always tell my guys, listen, your most powerful weapon you have on the street is your mouth. The way you can talk to people, project yourself, project yourself with authority. However, be able to try to talk people down. You want to calm people down. Now, sometimes it doesn't work. Obviously, we do still have people that resist arrest. They don't want to talk. They don't want to be talked down. They continuously want to be able to escalate a situation, and in that case, then we'll take appropriate action. But we're already going through a tremendous amount of training. I welcome more. I welcome the fact that we should do some more defensive tactics training in the academies. A lot of local gyms, they offer free seminars for officers to come in and train for like some type ground tactics and whatnot, just to control people safely. And I'm all for it. I mean, and listen, bring on more training, but make sure it's training that's it's appropriate. Just don't throw something out saying, "Hey, you're gonna do this because we want to satisfy we're doing something." Give us legit training. I think more defensive tactics is legit. I think that'd be good.
Now, going back to your point about the video that was being shot on the boardwalk a couple weeks ago, we're certainly in prime digital social media age and everything where, a tweet or a video on Facebook or Instagram and everything can tell a story. So you reacted pretty quickly a couple weeks ago after that video was posted and after the social media words and everything, all the obscenities started flying around. What led you to react so quickly to that with people, accusing your officers of excessive force and just, kind of broad brushing not just your police department but other police departments everywhere?
Yeah, so you almost answered my question for me. We are being painted with a broad brush. Again, ever since George Floyd, obviously there's been issues before that, but George Floyd brought it all out to the forefront. And again, as I said before, I don't know one police leader, one police officer that I personally know and I've spoken to that condone what happened in Minneapolis. So we're all just shocked and appalled by it, and we share in everybody's outrage. Mm-hmm. I certainly do. But the reaction now is all police are bad, all police are racist, all police use excessive force. We need to fight the police now. We need to defund the police, which obviously is the new, all over the media and big cities in the country. Here in Point Pleasant Beach, we actually hired 2 additional officers. Here in Point Pleasant Beach, I'm getting more funding to combat the problems from mayor and council. We recognize that you don't defund the police. You need to invest in the police. Why I reacted so quickly? Because it was such that video was just the narrative that person, the author of that video, who incidentally didn't even know the person that was arrested, had no connection to him other than they were appalled by what they saw. So I don't know what her agenda was for posting the video. I've never spoken to her, so I don't know. But clearly there was a narrative to try to make the insinuation that the police acted improperly, or just a bunch of thugs, were bothering people. So that narrative was starting to go viral, and that was just, I watched the video. It's not the case. I read the reports, talked to the officers involved, talked to the supervisor on the street. There's more to the story. The video just starts. The video doesn't capture the entire interaction, which probably started 15 minutes earlier, with like I said before, the guy giving us a false name, walking down, drinking a bottle of Hennessy. The officers were trying to move a bench, so the guy was holding onto it. Mm-hmm. They were moving the bench away, so the area was clear. They brought him safely to the ground, handcuffed him immediately, and brought him off the boardwalk. To me, that was done very professionally, and that narrative had to be told, and it had to be told immediately. So that morning, I came in the day after it happened, did my research, and by 1 or 2 in the afternoon, I put it out there because again, you can put your narrative out, but let's let sensible people make their own decisions. Mm-hmm. That's your side of the story. Now, here's my version from the police department. Now, please draw your own conclusions, and I'll let the statement speak for itself. And I've received, again, like I said, I can't tell you. I mean, phone calls, text messages, emails, thanking me for standing up, for making this statement and highlighting. I'll tell you what, law enforcement's a tough job. It's not easy, and the scrutiny that we're under all the time now, and the day of the cell phone videos. I mean, we're YouTube stars every night. You know, people want to gotcha moment. I got you, and that's what they're dealing with. These poor officers. I hope to God we get decent candidates coming up that want to do this job, because I don't know how many people really want to sign up for this and deal with that type of behavior from people. And again, it's not the majority of people we have.
Right.
There's the people that come to this town are tremendous. They're families. They want to have a nice time. They're respectful, but it's obviously the loud and obnoxious people are obviously going to get our attention, and it's a shame, because it affects people not wanting to come here, and that we're not going to have that. We are going to stand up for this boardwalk. We are going to patrol it. We are going to enforce all of our local ordinances. We're going to arrest people that violate the law, because we want to clear the way for these great people that want to come here and enjoy this beautiful town. And again, the majority of people are that way, but they're being drowned out by this mess. These crowds are coming in that they have this unruly behavior, and they really just we don't care about anybody but ourselves. A very selfish behavior, and it's sad to see, but like I said before, we'll get a handle of it. We'll minimize that. It's going to take a little bit more time, but we're doing a good job so far.
To change gears and I guess sort of go to a more positive note, you told me I guess what I'm going to call a fun fact is that you were in the Marines with the police chief from Marlboro, Peter Pizzullo, same time, same unit, I believe you said. And what was it like to just be with him back then, and kind of looking back at your time, all these years later, did you both think that you would end up going back to your towns and becoming police officers and police chiefs and being, that leader in your local community?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I watched the interview with Chief Pizzullo, and I remember Pete and I, as young Marines, 18, 19 years old, all of a sudden we're being told that we have to go to this foreign country that I have to get a globe and say, wait, where is this? I don't even know where it's at on a map. And so it was quite an experience. We came back, and I don't know if it's just being a Marine, that sense of service. I was a member of the volunteer fire company here. I'm a life member here in Pleasant Beach for the fire department. I was a member of the first aid squad. Went to high school here. Just my roots were in Pleasant Beach. Had the absolute honor to be the chief of police here, and I'm working here for 25 years. So when listening to Pete's interview, it kind of resonated with me. It's almost like he's my twin brother. I'm the better looking one, obviously.
But that chief.
I've known Pete obviously a long time. There's several other guys who were in the Marine Corps together. They've gone pretty far, if not to the top of their departments in law enforcement, fire department. Pretty neat group of guys. All of us, we've climbed the ranks together. We served our communities. We served our country. So we obviously have a lot in common. So it's natural that we stay friends and close throughout these years. So very proud of Pete and his accomplishments. It was neat to hear, to talk about the Marine Corps. 'Cause, people kind of forget about the first Gulf War.
Right.
And
right.
It was a very quick war, but it was it made a huge impact on my life, I'm sure on Pete's life, and other young Marines back in the day when we were 18, 19-year-old kids. And kids, really.
Hey, we're all still kids in some way.
I try to be.
I want to close up with this, kind of following that up with, the 25 years you've been working as a police officer, as the police chief, your years of service in Point Pleasant Beach. What are some of the things that you've enjoyed about the job, or the things that, you wake up every day and you come to work and you really look forward to, whether it's as chief, whether it's doing different community programs or interacting with people, working with your officers and detectives? What has it all meant to you? What are some of the so-called perks of the job?
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, everyone probably says it, I work with the best on the Jersey Shore. I have a great group of officers here. We all kind of came on together. There's a large chunk of us, are hitting our 25th, 23, 24 years. So I've worked with all these guys a long time, and it's an honor to be the chief of police and to lead them. But I don't even look at it like we all kind of lead. We all help each other out. We're all leading this department, this town. I wake up every morning just very fortunate that I have the opportunity to be the head of the department, of such a great department. I love that we hire about 70 new employees every summer just to kind of help us and the seasonal employees. It's class 1, the class 2 is parking enforcement, dispatchers, part-time dispatchers. So we mold these young people that want to go into law enforcement, we train them, and then we watch them get hired, because we're hiring that many people every year because we lose that many people every year to full-time careers, and for them to go on and start their careers in law enforcement. Probably the biggest highlight of my career is having an impact on these young officers, training them, and mentoring them, really. And so we have police officers that start in Point Pleasant Beach that are all over the state, country, FBI, Secret Service, you name it. You name the law enforcement agency, we probably have somebody that was started in Point Pleasant Beach before. So definitely that would be the highlight of my career, and then getting to work with these guys every day. It's a pleasure to work here and to work with these guys. It's been a blast. It's been quick. 25 years. I tell these young kids, I remember just back in the day starting out, and I blinked and it's 25 years later. It goes quick. So enjoy the ride.
Time flies.
Time flies. So.
Chief, thanks for taking out some time this morning to discuss the current events, the not so good things that have happened, but at the same time, the good things that have happened in Point Pleasant Beach and within the law enforcement community here and everywhere else.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's been fun. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
That's Point Pleasant Beach Police Chief Joseph Michigan. I'm Vin Ebenau here on the 7th episode of Townsquare Media Jersey Shore's Ask the Chief. Stay tuned to our Facebook page and our mobile app for the announcement of the next episode of Ask the Chief. In the meantime, make sure you have that app. Share this video, share the message, and we'll see you next time.